Hi whiskey enthusiasts, it's Brett and I am back with a Scotch review for today. Just earlier this week I had several people request a review on this particular malt, and so while I'm getting some reviews done today, I decided to throw this one in by their request. This is the Arran malt, Amarone Cask. That is an Italian red wine, and I may be wrong, but as far as I know, personally, this is the only Scotch that is finished in Amarone casks. Now, this is a non-age statement bottling. They don't give us much information about how old it might be. It's bottled at 50% ABV. And what they say actually on the bottle says, after initially maturing in traditional oak casks over a number of years, the Arran single malt in this bottling was finished in a selection of Amarone casks sourced from an artisan producer of this iconic Italian wine. Our master distiller has carefully monitored this period of secondary maturation to ensure the perfect balance is struck between the Amarone casks and the intrinsic sweet fruity character of the Arran malt. And I think, and I usually don't read off of a label when I do a review, but that describes more than anything I could tell you about this. It looks rather coppery and red in the bottle. When you get it, it's slightly lighter when you actually get it in a glass, but it's still pretty coppery. So the wine actually is pretty prominent in it, and let's see what we get out of it. When you first get to your nose, you're immediately just slapped in the face with this real deep red fruitiness. And I'm talking about plums and cherries and just a tiny bit of raisin. There's a little bit of sultanas, and right now there seems to be a little bit of cat going on in here. So one of my cats is crying for her 2 pieces of food that she wants once an hour. So back to the Scotch. It's just so fruity, and it's just so welcoming and sweet. There's a little tiny bit of grassiness that comes in. A little bit of white pepper. Maybe just a hint of raisin. Gosh, the plums are just bursting. It's just great. There's a little bit of apple down underneath. Usually in a lot of malts you see the apple be very prominent. With this, it's there, but it's hidden underneath the red fruits. It's a very nice balance. Just a hint of a breadiness from the malt. And not very much spice at all. If anything, just a breath of spice. Okay? So very fruit forward, not grain forward, not spice forward. You're getting a lot of the wine influence in this. There's a tingle on the tip of your tongue when you get it there. The fruit just bursts in your mouth like you bit into something plump and juicy and really, really ripe. There's almost a push-pull here in the palate, because on the one hand, you have this really super sweetness that's really prominent. However, the dryness of the red wine is juxtaposed with that. So you've got the sweet and the dry, kind of mixing it up in there. It's very interesting. It works. It's balanced. Neither one of them is overpowering. The white pepper is still there a little bit. Very little wood spice to this. Just a hint, just enough to keep it interesting so that the fruit doesn't overpower everything else. As now on my third sip, I'm getting just a little bit of caramel mixed in, almost like a caramel covered apple. So that's another bit of balance you're getting out with the wood versus the whiskey itself and the wine. All in all, it's fairly complex for a non-age statement whiskey. I don't recall what I actually paid for this. I think it generally runs somewhere between $65 and $80 in most places. I don't recall. When I picked this up, it happened, I already knew about it. I walked into a store along the highway when I was traveling to a different city recently, and thought, while I'm in another town here, I'll just stop at the liquor store here along the highway, see if I run into anything. This was the only bottle in the entire store that I would have been interested in, but I picked it up because it was the first time I had seen it. I think it's worth giving a try. If you are a fan of Speysides, I don't think that you will dislike this. You're not going to get smoke in this. You're not going to get peat in this. It's not real earthy. It's almost completely fruity. If you like wine cask finished at all, this is a kind of a different take. This doesn't taste really like a sherry finish. So there's some things there that you could explore. I think it's very much worth a try if you like those styles. You're not going to get a Highland style out of this. You're not going to get an Islay. You're not going to get an island style like a Talisker or anything like that, or a Highland Park. This is its own little animal, and it's closely aligned with the Speysides, although this is from an island. So I hope that's informative for you. I recommend it. If you run across it, I think it is worth the price. I wouldn't pay a premium for it, but I think in the neighborhood of $65 to $80, it is very well worth its price. And so I'm going to enjoy the rest of this after I get off film. So bye now.